Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue with Coding Canon 2. Here we are, Phase 4, Gameplay. Alright, in this video, I think Logan's going to steal a large portion of our gameplay logic from Canon 1 and get it tied in to Canon 2.
Because the gameplay stuff doesn't change much. It's all just based around lives and is the game running.
Okay.
So, before we even begin, let's walk over to Canon 1 and grab that code.
Alright, so we've got, looking at our implementation plan, we've got steal begin game, end game, kill player, and kill target.
I'm even going to steal the start of the region because we have not yet defined a region for gameplay methods.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the region, grab begin game, there's end game, there's kill player, and there's kill target. So I'm going to copy all of that and then move over to Canon 2 and jump up to a section right below or right above mechanics. Jump in because this keeps it relatively close to the way it was organized in Canon 1. Now, of course, I only grabbed the opening region for gameplay methods, so I'm going to jump down right below the kill target and add in an end region.
All right. So now you're going to need to comment out lines as needed.
Right, because we refer to things like display lives, which we haven't coded in yet. We also refer to a title screen, which is named different, but we'll address that when we get into needing to draw the title screen. So let's begin with begin game, and we need display lives. Comment that. We've already commented the title screen. In end game, we'll comment the title screen. In kill player, we'll comment display lives. And in kill target, we're not displaying anything. So that should put us in a state where we could build, and we can.
All right, very good.
Now, let's see, cursor showing and hiding. That of course still works because we're still using the same cursor. I do want to change the behavior a little bit. We just decided to mimic XNA's default behavior a little bit closer. So all I'm going to do is take out any references to cursor from our begin and end game. If we want to hide the cursor, we could do so as the form's getting created or in the constructor.
Okay.
But it is something that we're moving away from in begin and end game.
Okay, so now that you have stolen some code from Canon 1 and commented out at the necessary lines, what we need to do is add our game starting check into update scene.
Right, because the is game running needs to affect how the game works as it's actually running. Right now, things start moving from the very beginning, and we don't want that to happen. We don't want anything to be updating unless a game is currently running. So that's the check we need to do. Inside of update scene, we need to do a check, so we'll say if is game running. Now let me spell game right. Running.
Oh,
there we go. There's IntelliSense when all else fails. And let's block this in. So I'll jump. We have our starting brace. Jump in right after the methods. Closing curly brace. Let me jump down a line. And let's put in an else for if the game isn't currently running yet. So I have else. But I want to do another check. If the game isn't running, I want to see if the left mouse button is down. Because if the game is not running, and we press the mouse button, then we've clicked without the game running, which means we need to begin the game. So this is actually going to be an else if. And inside of this, we're going to check, and we're going to look at the mouse buttons and see if those buttons are equal to mouse buttons dot left. And if that is indeed the case, then we need to begin the game. So here we can do a call to begin game, now that we have begin game after stealing it from Canon 1. And that is the check we need to do inside of update scene. It's a check for if the game is running or not, and then what happens in the appropriate situations. Because right now we have two states our game can be in. It can be in a running state where we need to update stuff, or it can be in not a running state where it's just waiting to begin the game.
Okay. And let's go ahead and take a look at begin game again, just to remind everyone what's going on there, because it's been a little while.
Alright, so in begin game we've got things like, first, remember that the game is running. Then, reset our lives in case our lives are set to something wrong or maybe just initialized to 0. Then we set up our level, so we set that all the way back to 1 in case we'd advanced into the game. Then we do things like reset the projectile and reset the target, and this being critically important so that our target actually gets kicked off and starts moving. As a matter of fact, that brings up another interesting point. This is what's supposed to start the target moving.
Okay.
But if you remember from the last lesson, we put some temporary code in just so we could see it moving without having it kicked off. That code was an initialize, where we had hard-coded in a velocity. We no longer need that, and as a matter of fact, it would be a good idea to remove it in case we ever need to debug and we're wondering why we already have a velocity before we even begin the game. So we'll get that cleaned up. And of course, that's pretty much it for begin game. Get all the variables set, and then kick off the projectile and target.
Okay, fantastic. But now you've got kill player and kill target in there, but we're not using them. So we need to go back to our check ground collision and check air collision and use kill player and kill target.
Right, because we need to start accounting for lives when things like collisions happen. So let's jump down all the way to our collision methods. Now let's focus on ground collision first. We don't want to directly reset the target. Instead, we want to kill the player.
Okay.
And inside of check air collision, because we brought that method over from Canon 1, we still had our kill target. We just commented it. So I'll bring that back, and then I'll remove reset target and reset projectile.
Okay.
Because we want our kill target to handle that.
So as a quick reminder, let's go ahead and jump up to kill player and kill target.
Alright, let me scroll back up to our gameplay methods where we have beginning with kill player. Kill player, it resets the target, keep the target moving. Then we decrement lives because the player has died, so we need to take a life away. Then we turn around and check lives and see if we're out of lives yet. So if lives is 0, we've run out of lives, and we end the game.
Okay, and let's take a look at kill target.
Inside of kill target, if we successfully shoot down the target, we increase the level so that the game starts to move faster. Then we turn around and reset the target and reset the projectile as well so that it doesn't appear that the projectile has gone through the target.
Exactly. All right, and let's see, anything else I want to look at there? Go ahead and jump down to endgame.
All right, let me jump up a little bit.
That's the last one.
So then finally we have endgame if we run out of lives. And since we took out the cursor and for now have the title screen hidden, all we're doing right now is just setting the is game running to false, just to mark the fact that we don't have a running game.
And with is game running set to false, now let's jump back to update scene.
Well, if we go back to update scene, we now fall back into this else because we're no longer running the game. So we've gone back to looking to see if the mouse button is the left mouse button down.
So basically what's going to happen is everything's going to freeze.
Right, everything should freeze, but if we click, then everything should begin again.
So let's go and test it.
All right, we build. The build was successful. Here we are. A few interesting things.
Everything's froze. Everything's at 0, 0.
Everything's frozen. It starts at 0, 0. So let's begin playing. We'll click, and then everything comes to life. We have a player. We have a target.
Lose a life.
So we lost a life. We're shooting the target, so it should be getting a little bit faster.
There it goes.
And it is.
Nice.
And now if I lose the rest of my lives...
2, 3, and everything froze.
Now the whole game froze. And if I click, I can begin again, and the game starts running again.
So we now have our gameplay logic in place, and we were able to do that very quickly because we simply moved all that code from Canon 1 over to Canon 2. Very, very few adjustments had to be made. Actually, it was just commenting out a few things. And that's pretty much it. That is going to wrap it up for this video. We're going to move into the next video where we're going to take a look at creating the HUD item class so that we can then get our start screen and our display lives icon going on, and then that's going to wrap it all up. So that's going to conclude this video. Thanks a lot.